Oi, get her off. Good girl. Hello. Oh yes, hello. That looks about right. Right, how am I going to do this? I mean, something's not right here. Is that ortho mode? I can't tell. That's probably orthographic mode. Yeah, see that side's slightly longer than that side. Something's not right. I am quietly. I didn't fancy making much of a fuss about it this time. What, the one by the dude with the really noisy server? No? Okay. I did end up just leaving that server. Cotterell plus many passengers. Oh. Wait, wasn't... What? It was a bit of a weird server. I'll be honest. Like, I don't think I need to tell you that it was a bit of a weird server. You were there. But it was a bit of a weird server. I mean, how much of a required feature is that, really? You know? How much do you really need them to do that? Also, you're here to watch me massacre some polygons again. You keep coming and you keep complaining about it, and then you come back again. There must be some part of you with like a grotesque satisfaction in seeing it. We both know that's never going to happen. Ah, yes. Music references. Right. Oh no. Where did you get that idea from? Oh, I'm going to have to do these individually. You can probably see what I'm going to do with this, can't you? How I'm going to map it. Well, that's part of the plan. You know what? Let's get some textures in here so we can start getting stuff set up right. And to start with, we're just going to give everything the pavement texture. And the reason we're going to do that is so that I can just grab all these and, like you say, project them from view, but then also get the scale of them right. So about there. There we go. I mean, I'd quite like to be able to get wear marks on this, but I suspect that's going to be a bit more trouble than I'm willing to go to. There we go. Right, now I need a darker version. Oh, we have a winner. Now, which of these do we reckon is going to look alright? It ought to be quite a chunky one. Probably a dirtier one's going to look better. Let's try this. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, it's odd at the edges. Thing is, I want a quite even kind of worn one. How about this? We're going to name these things disgustingly. Of course, the other thing that's going to make this model more efficient, aside from having much less geometry than the equivalent set of splines, like by a factor of over 10, is that there will only be a much smaller number of draw calls. There'll only be one for each material. No, it doesn't, but it's not a repaint. Also, it's just the SCU, it's not the SCU utility. It already has the word utility in it. Oh, it's probably going to be better just to unwrap. There we go. Oh no, it wasn't better. Hello. Okay, I have a better idea. If Avast was a big fan of random executables you downloaded from a random site on the internet just being run out of the blue, then I don't think it would be doing its job very well. It just gets the file paths from that. That's all it does. Then low. There we go. We should be able to soften the edge of it a bit with that. Kind of looks more like it wants to be one course wide. More like that. That's more like it. Okay, let's just tweak it to do that instead then. There we go. I mean, what this suggests I should actually be doing with it is I should have made all of these insets wider. All in all, that looks pretty alright. What do you reckon? Yeah, you know what, I'm actually quite happy with that. Another brick in the wall. Oh, she do balk sometimes. Heckin' balk. Don't quite know how it's managing to distort these corners like that. Because I don't... Oh well. I probably just need to project from view instead of doing it the way I'm doing it at the moment. In fact, you know what, let's start by projecting all of it from view. Right, and now I need to pick it up face... no, it's going to be better to just unwrap it and do it all manually. There we go, just blending it into the other textures at the side has really helped it settle into the scene. Oh. Now, as per usual, these long ones appear to be slightly skew-if. I'll just fix those quickly. I'm going to bother to do these end ones because I intend to shuffle this around a bit and make it fit better. Oh no. That's it. There we go. Right, and finally this set back here. And there we go. Right. So now this is going to distort it very slightly, but I think it's probably going to be fine. There we go. That looks nice. I'm really happy with that. Nope. As a slightly better answer, you need to duplicate it to a new folder and then replace its textures with a new set that look like what you want them to look like. So you need to duplicate the SCO file and the O3D file and the what did you forget to do? Did you forget to assign materials? So you need the SCO file, the texture files and the O3D files, and any script files it might need. You need to move all of them into a new folder, all still in the right folder directory structure, so you need to have, so you need to make your own new folder which has a model folder and a textures folder inside it. You move the model into the new model folder. You move the textures into the new textures folder. Sorry, I'm just going to get this going first. And then you replace the textures with your new ones. You know, it'd probably be better just to align it all the right way. Hopefully that makes sense. For now, I'm just going to do it like this. This will need further adjustment. Oh yeah, it's the wrong texture again. Alright, that's been mirrored. Okay, whatever. So I should have joined that with those. Oh well. This should be relatively easy to line up because all I need to do to it is this. That's about right. Are they all in the right folder? There may be problems with textures that aren't bitmaps or DDSs because I only use bitmaps and DDSs in my objects. Oh, right. Okay, it sounds like there probably is a problem with those then. Ignore how hideous the grass is going to look for now. And the grass mapping will be redone by OMSI. I don't need to worry about it. What you don't want to ignore is how much lower poly this is now. The poly count is reduced by more than a factor of 10. Which is significant, and not only that, but we've gone from one draw call per spline to one draw call per material, or rather one draw call per material per spline to one draw call per material overall. Yep. So there are efficiency gains here beyond just reducing the poly count. Though reducing the poly count is definitely a significant and worthwhile thing. Yep. Hello. There we go. I reckon things are going pretty all right. You know, I'm gonna make these tarmac so it looks like they were a later addition put in when the thing blur. Come on, brain. My brain is doing the things really well at the moment. Looks like I missed that bit when I mapped this. Alright. There we go. Okay, let's have a quick look back at the real world again. So in real life, this bit that sticks out here is very new asphalt, and the very new asphalt sticks backwards a bit as well. The brick from the bus station transitions to tarmac out here. I'm not going to be able to get all of the many changes in surface texture in. Because there are a lot of them. It's asphalt around to there, okay. Plus no. Plus. Besides, this isn't a real map anyway. It's all in your imagination. It was an illusion. Real place though. This is going to be awkward because I don't want to lose the decent mapping that I've got on here so far. Because I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with... Nope. Oh boy. How am I going to do this? I imagine what I'm going to do is I'm just going to accept that I'm going to mess up the texture mapping. And deal with it. Oh, hello. How's that corrected the mapping for me? Apparently the loop slide can manage to correct the mapping for you when you do that. Okay. I thought that was restricted to this feature, but apparently it also works with that. Well, not the loop slide, but the slide along edges. You may or may not understand what I mean. Huh, well, I've learned something new today. Does that change at the exact same point? Well, it's nowhere near that harsher transition. But yes, it does change at that exact same point. I just need to change that texture, basically. I need to make it lighter and more reddish. Also, I'm going to make the line a bit less high contrast. There we go. That's more like it. Okie dokie. I mean, we could just import it and see how it's looking in game so far. That is so useful. I've just picked it up. There is... I don't know exactly which assets you're referring to because it's been a while. There is unlikely to be any point in baking any of my assets because they're all photo textured. As to DDS textures, it should be possible to just switch all BMP textures for DDSs because OMSI is agnostic as to which file formats it chooses. See if it gets that right. Hey, it got it right. Nice. I'll have to tidy up that corner manually. But yeah, there's unlikely to be any point in baking anything I've made. Surface. Or render type surface, sorry. There are two surface tags. One of them is to make vehicles drive on top of them, and the other one is for them to render before shadows. One of them is surface, the other is render type surface. Hello. What's going on here? Right, what's happening here then? Which of these vertices is being a little bitch? There we go. That's more like it. Right, so this area here kind of does something like this in real life. Like that. Just needs to be noticeably higher than the other curbs. And let me just do the same to this one. Hello, hello. I thought I might get more people appearing if I streamed at more like this time of day. See what happens if I follow active quads along here. Hey, that actually works. Sort of works. Which corner's that corner? It's that corner. These are just going to need manually fixing. I'll see what follow active quads can do for them, but I think they're just going to need fixing manually. Oh good, and I've just realised that means that I'm going to have to manually line each curbstone up with the texture below it. Oh, that's going to be fun. There we go, that'll do. There we go. And let's let this one follow this one. You have to be a bit careful when doing this because you can quite easily end up with really dodgy normals, not normals, really misaligned mapping between the top and side faces. So ideally you want to try to retain the mapping from inomzi wherever you can. Unfortunately over here, but the follow active quads tool, it's not perfect, but it can work miracles. If you're feeling really fancy, you can take the time to line up each step in a curb with a joint in the curbstones. Did you say that before or after I started using it? Because this ain't Mama's first rodeo. Sort of, except that falls down when you get to things like this. I am building Farthington, which is based on St Ives in Cambridge, not the St Ives, Cornwall. It is not a one-to-one recreation of St Ives, Cambridge, but it's heavily based on it. To the extent that most of the buildings that I'm making for the map are buildings from St Ives. And the road layout is very similar, but not the same. Right, so we could go and have a quick look, see at how that appears in OMSI. Shall we go and see? And we can do it with my recently released tool that I put somewhere. Can't remember where. It's probably still just sitting packed up in the source folder. I never forget materials. What you're talking about? Doesn't happen. Fake news. Oh, this is going to be a bugger to fucking... Right. This is going to be a nuisance to assign all the materials to. Oh, hello. That's not what I was planning on doing. Hey, Ross did it too earlier. There's a lot of UVs that will need fixing as well. A lot of this is not right yet. But yeah, by turning this into an object, we've saved about 30,000 polygons in an area that was about 30,000 polygons. It was 30,200 triangles, and now it's 2,709 triangles. 2,909, sorry, triangles. So that's an enormous saving. I'm going to need to see this in material mode, which means I'm going to need to create a sun, which means I'm going to lose all my current selection. So let's just assign the material to... Hang on, what the fuck am I doing? I've already done that, that's fine. I don't need to do that. Sun, there we go. What I actually need to be doing is assigning every material that isn't that one. Bastard. Okay, next. Oh, hello. Oh, that ain't right. It would be really nice if you could just assign materials directly from textures. Or alternatively, if you could just assign textures and then they will export as materials. Because there's so little in the way of material properties that are actually used. It's just the texture and the specular. And the specular is almost always 0. Right, next. That one has the curb texture in it. Next. Oh, you know it. It's what I was born to do. Let's click on the same splines over and over and over again in various contexts. This is what I've always dreamed of doing. So that's basically what I've been doing. I've been clicking on the same splines over and over and over again. Just in OMSI, in Blender. It doesn't matter, I'll click on them anywhere. There we go. Right, and lastly but not leastly, there we go. Oh, one bit missing. Okay, so this is all wrong, but whatever. Oh god. Hang on, does that mean I can just follow the active quads from here? Come on. Follow active quads. Do it. Hey. Came out alright. This one won't come out alright because it goes around a sharp 90-degree corner. Well, actually, it'll come out alright except for the end one, probably. And I can fix the end one. Is it this one? Nope, it's not that one. Is it this one? Wait, it was that one. Is that one the other way around? No. Oh, that's that one. Ah, right. There we go. That's all good. This one's slightly less good. You can move a mountain if you do it brick by brick. I think I'm not going to worry too much about what the inside edge of this is like. Like the inside edge of this is going to be covered with plants, and it's in such a invisible place. Unvisible. So it's honestly not going to matter if I map that perfectly or not. There we go. Don't think there are any more bad edges, but I'll find out when I export it. Right, okay. Now we get to see how we did. So first things first, some textures missing. This should be located at 150, 150. Yeah, that's curious. Is this the same issue you were having, Ross? Because it does just seem to have not bothered exporting some of the textures. Okay, looks like there's a bug to solve then. That's not something I'd come across before. Also, I'm going to have to fix the smoothing on all of these edges. And don't worry about how ugly the grass is so far. Oh yeah, that's the thing that I need to do, isn't it? Now the triangulate modifier and the edge split modifier. And let's make the split angle 70 degrees. So why didn't it export those textures? Let's have a look at what we get out of it on the other side. Yeah, we very much don't get some of the textures, do we? Or even most of the textures. Then why has it been working before? Is it just because they were DDSs before? And low. Yeah, so it hasn't filled that with DDSs. Yeah, I think it's only working with DDS at the moment. Do I really want to deal with that? Oh, well, for the time being. Control R. Yes, you still do those separately, and at the moment, I'll just post an update. Hello. Oh, don't use PNG. Jesus. It's going alright. Yeah. That's how that works. No, there won't. Busways do not work in OMSI. I'm not going to release something with a feature that does not work. The busway will exist, but it will be AI only. There will be a section of busway you drive. It will be this. You will drive through that. And you'll be happy with it. Bog's been here all the time. Bog's always here. Watching. Waiting. That needs scaling. Yep, for crimes against polygons. It is now. In fact, what I was about to do was I was about to make a backup of this. And then start deleting the splines that I've replaced with it. Spline 1 is still here somewhere. Or spline 0 even. Well, what's wrong with 50 backup maps? That's a good number of backup maps. The more the better. But yeah, so in doing this, we're going from 30,000 triangles to 2,000 triangles. Okay, about 3,000 triangles actually. And it's also going to look better. But it has taken several hours of work. Okay, there's some render order issue here. Yeah, exactly. Though on making a map isn't that easy either. Like, just making a map is pretty hard. But optimizing a map is... or making an optimized map. Also, ignore this hideous grass texture. I will sort that in a moment. Or I will sort that when it's appropriate to do so. Yep, this will be fixed. Unlike on some various European spline packs where they don't bother to fix this at all. Yeah, that's the thing that I need to sort out for UBS. It's a surprisingly hard feature to implement, it seems. Naming no names, obviously. Beginning with G and ending with Ladbeck. What about the object edges suggests made in Blender? I mean, yes, they were made in Blender, but like that doesn't have any bearing on what the edges of the objects look like. Well, you mean this? They're like that because that's how to optimize them. They could have been made in any 3D software. It's not a fault in Blender that makes them like that. It's my decision that's made them like that. You know what we're doing now? You know what this is that I'm doing? I'm clicking on the same splines again. I've spent all day clicking on these splines in one way or another. It can be done in OMSI, but it's not particularly a great way of doing it. I need to remap that. So now that I've got this stuff all in, the next thing to do will be to build the bus station building. Hello. But then I don't know which ones I need to get rid of. Because it's only ones that actually overlap with the thing that I'm keeping that I need to get rid of. Well, this is one way of doing it. The other way to do it, which is what Reese does, is build the whole thing in Blender to start with. Right, look how much lower poly that is. Look, this is an original bit. This is what OMSI makes. And these are what I've made. Look how many polygons we've saved. Yeah, if you want puddles on surfaces, then you need to have either an object or a spline down. If you don't care about that, you can just paint it. But yeah, it's very hard to make gradients with painted roads. Yeah, I've got some road markings to fix now. Is this the origin one? Yes. No. Everything's fine. Yes, exactly the same. You can even give night map modes to splines if you want them. So if you want to have glowing cat's eyes, you can do that. Yes, it is. Otherwise the grass wouldn't get snowy in the winter. Just spotted. Target sighted. Any more? You're damn right there aren't any more. You just put them in a folder called Winter Snow. That's all there is to it. They need to have the same name and be of the same format. There is no special trick to it. This definitely comes in too far. No, it's St Ives. Drama Street bus station's very different. It's a great big thing with a glass canopy over the top, or a perspex canopy over the top. Oh, I've messed up my... Nope, St Ives in Cambridge. Object-oriented programming. I agree. I'm just going to have to redo these. I might even replace them at some point. Somewhere in between. It's not... It's more than just loosely based. Like this is the actual building that's next to it. And these are the actual buildings at the entrance. No, that's Roadhog. It's... Yeah, let me just back the camera up to here so you can see. So, yeah, that's the view on there. That's the view on my one. It's not identical, but it is more than just based on it. If that makes sense. I've been trying to emulate the character of it as best I can, because like I find the best way to make something feel real in OMSI is to base it very much on real life. Well, I haven't just done a pound stretcher, I've done the pound stretcher. I drove to St Ives. I took reference photos of all these buildings here. Like you might notice that one is that one. And that one is that one. And all of these buildings are ones that I've made from St Ives over the course of the last week or so. So, yeah, it's more than just based on St Ives, but it isn't an exact copy. But yeah, all these buildings, I went out and took photos of them last week. And they're all real buildings from the real location. There's the Swan and Angel, there's this very generic red one, there's the Barclays, and the little green one next to it. And over here is the incredibly pompous Lloyd's Bank. Yeah, and as we found out, most of these used to be a pub at one point or another. Dunno. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, just clothing store. Yeah, I've made that. I've made those. That one used to be the NatWest. Now it's a building site. Yeah. It's not identical to real life, but it is made using a lot of the same stuff. Right, I think supper might be happening. I used the camera on my phone. You do not need anything better. I'll show you some of the source photos if you like. So here is my reference texture folder. It's a couple of gigabytes. And these are buildings from all around Cambridgeshire. And these are the ones from St Ives the other week. So I've been gradually working my way through building these. I need to go into Peterborough at some point and get some reference material from that. So these are the ones I've been working on in the last week. Let me give you an idea of the quality of photo that will make a good texture. So what you need in order to make a good texture is you need as square on a shot as you can possibly get, so you don't get distortion in doorways and windows and things. And you need an overcast day so you don't get harsh shadows on things. Then the rest of it is just hard work. Like removing things like this lamppost and stuff. In order to make good-looking buildings, instead of ones that look like Freeman's objects, you have to spend the time to get rid of things like this. So in this case, I'd probably take the right-hand side of the building, copy it over to the left-hand side, and use that to get rid of it. In fact, shall I show you the process now? Let's just do that really quickly. I say really quickly. This is not a part of the OMSI SDK. Bog, are you still here? Can you post the link to this in the chat? But this is an image rectifying tool. This corrects perspective on photographs. There you go. Thank you. Bog MVP. So what you do is you open the image up in this tool. You align this grid to the building. You hit render and copy to clipboard. You make a new image, put that in there. And then in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this half, put it on a new layer, flip it over to this side. Yeah, if you have Photoshop, you don't need this tool. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a large, very soft eraser brush. And then I'm going to get back everything that wasn't covered by the lamppost, then flatten that, then resize it to 1024 by 1024, which is an appropriate size, and then that is your basic texture. And then you save that and you use that to texture your building. So I'm not going to show you how to make a building. I've been live pretty much every day this week making buildings, but this is what I have to do for every single building. Some of them are more complicated than others. Like this one took a huge amount of time. This one took like 3 hours to do, just because of all the different segments, and this is stitched together out of about 12 separate photographs. So yeah, that's the work that I'm doing to get this thing made. Anyway, let's have a quick drive, and then I'm going to go get some food, and I'll come back tomorrow. It's going to be payware. The reason I'm doing all of this, the reason I've come back to Farthington, aside from just wanting to finish it, because I want to finish it, like I want to actually make something of it, the reason I'm doing this is because I've started making my own bus simulator, or driving simulator in general, to replace OMSI. Or, well, I hope it'll replace OMSI. But before I can do that, I need an income, so I need to work on a project that I can more immediately get done. Now this, not what you see outside this central window. This is where I'm getting so far. Yeah. It's my new sim. It's currently called Untitled Bus Simulator, UBS. It's nowhere near complete, but I've been working on the level editor so far. So you can do basic terrain stuff and you can paint stuff, and I'm going to show you the thing that I've most recently done, which is that you can blend together multiple textures on the terrain. Like you can softly blend them into each other instead of having hard edges. And you can grab stuff and move stuff and all the important stuff. And unlike OMSI, instead of when you hit rotate, it just points. So if I hit R in OMSI right now, this would just change direction instantly to point at the mouse. Instead of that, you hit R and then you just move the mouse in a circle. Just like Blender, so you can do it like that if you want to. I also want to use a gizmo to let you do fine adjustments and scaling, and there will also be pure numerical input, so you can just set it manually, numerically. But yeah. Enough to develop stuff for OMSI is how many I've got open. Hello. We're in a building. I'm on a boat. So a bit that you probably, if you're new to this stream, a bit that you probably haven't seen is the reworked park and ride junction. So let's just head into Farthington. So I've replaced this bridge because the one that was there was hideous, and this one is not hideous. I made a new one. This is the big old new junction. It's the new way into the park and ride. This is signal controlled, so I've just let all vehicles go across it at the moment. It'll be guided buses only going left to right across here, but those trigger the traffic lights, so when a guided bus pulls up, it will turn the traffic lights red for all other traffic. Ignore that. That's a thing that I use to line stuff up so I can make objects out of stuff. This is the park and ride, which I've adjusted significantly but is still not done. I need to make the castle curbs properly. I updated the guided busway track to have tyre marks on it because I hated how clean it looked. So now it doesn't look clean. I've made these bus stop bays about twice as long, which is much more realistic. I've added more of them too. Minimum of 2. See, the lights go green as you approach them. That one's thanks to Roadhog. That bit on the right is going to be rebuilt. Yeah, let's enter the way that you'll normally enter, because that way is guided buses only. But a minimum of 2 proper full-length routes. That's not new for this map, no, that was just made by Farthington, and I've put it in because it's appropriate. Hello. I'm just doing one last drive around the map to show off what I've done so far before calling it a day. So this turn I've got a castle curb in. I mean, honestly, I quite like it being an EU one because there's quite a lot of EU stuff. There will be buildings here. This will not be open. Imagine having something with more than 3 horsepower. You will not drive on the busway. There is no way of making the busway a good driving experience. Yeah. I'm a lot happier with those new brick edges there. That's much nicer. Oh, come on, you bastard. Yeah, so one of the routes is going to be a cross-town route that goes this way. And keep in mind there's a lot of holes in the scenery still. No, depot shuttle will go. That was only there because I didn't have another route I could make. And I know I just crushed that car, it's fine. Now this is the market square. Complete with spinning barber's pole. Hell yeah. But yeah, every single one of these buildings is a new building that I made from my visit to St. Ives the other week. Scrolling texture. So the town route's going to go through here, round here, along the riverfront. So the town route, I'm intending to have 2 variations of it. One of them probably only about 15-20 minutes, and the other one a bit more than half an hour. The other route will be an interurban route. So I'll work out the runtime as I go on that one. Yeah, and then you come back the other way. So this route over here will go off to an RAF airbase, just like in the real world. I'll just show you. Every building, almost every building is going to be custom. Where there is an existing building that is appropriate that I can use, I will use that. But for the most part, it's all going to be unique buildings, which is basically because I want it all to feel unique and interesting. But yeah, this is RAF Witten. It's an RAF airbase. This will be the terminus for the town route. This is an interesting little bus stop because you pull in backwards, effectively. You come around off the roundabout, then you circle around here, stop there, and then you come back out and around again. It's weird. Hoping for Easter. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, the town route is effectively going to go through here, wiggle up round here, and then end up here. That's the plan. I mean, the other thing that I could do with it is I could send it off down here. Because, hang on, it's not that part, it's this part, because this bit's lovely. Because, I don't know, that's just how they did it. Yeah, I'm tempted to make it run through this as well. I need to go on another photo texture gathering visit, but I'm tempted to make it run down here too. I think this would be interesting. Possibly just spinning round here and coming back out here again. And then I guess what I'd do with it is I'd send it up here. Yeah, that looks fun. Did I accidentally end up on the main road again? Yeah. Yep. Oh, fictional routes in a real-ish area. So yeah, the plan for the town route is basically that it'll go from, in real world terms, let me just plot it out for you in the real world. Unfortunately, I can't do it properly because you can't actually go through that. There you go. That would be the route in the real world. Though actually I'm intending to move this to... hang on. I'm intending to move this to be effectively there. If that makes sense. So I just move this up the road a bit. No, I'm only doing... Well, the thing is, by the time I get here... almost all of this is the same building repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Which means that I won't need to make anywhere near the number of custom buildings. I'll be able to make like 5 custom buildings and repeat them over and over and over and over and over and over and over, with a couple of unique ones like these ones over here. So by the time I've got out of the town centre, it's not going to be anywhere near that bad. Yeah. Yes, they were made for Farthington. They're still being used for Farthington. Like, here they are. These are all still going to be in use. It's what they were made for. Also, a lot of the buildings won't have to be as detailed as these ones because you won't be seeing them quite up so close. So I'll be able to spend less time on making them. But yeah, that's the first route. The other route, which will not be real scale. Hello.
Audio broadcasting. Yeah, the camera's not on.
Thank you. the other one will effectively go from here to here. More like that. But this distance is going to be a lot shorter than it is in the real world. Yeah, sure. I've completely rebuilt the depot. Let's go have a look at it. But yeah, I have to do a lot of custom stuff because the thing that I want to set this map apart is I want it to feel like its own place. I don't want it to feel like somebody else's assets jumbled together. It's got to feel like rural Cambridgeshire. But yeah, this is the new depot. It's completely rebuilt from what was there before. There will be no... At the moment I've got traffic running through it just to test the AI paths. So AI buses will arrive and leave, will spawn and despawn. Also, see you later. Will spawn and despawn in the back of the bus depot where you can't see them. Yeah, and I've made... Something's not right. That's clipping through the floor. I can just use the bus that's already there. It's not easy. It requires a lot of work. People like the OMSI stuff. This is pretty normal for an OMSI stream. At this time of day, that is. When I'm out of business hours, or when I'm in business hours even, I don't get anywhere near this number of viewers because people are all busy. 5 routes is ambitious. Aim for something lower first. I would, honestly, as a starting point, for a good map that people will enjoy playing, I would go with 2 routes and a depot. That's enough to hold people's interest without being so much that you run out of time. But yeah, this is the new way into the depot. Instead of coming off the roundabout, you now go down here, which is much more like the real thing. And then this I'm going to fill in with car showrooms and stuff. It's not exactly a real map, but it's close. Yeah, I was thinking I might put the supermarket over here. So in the real world, it's Bar Hill, which is basically a new build town, with the Tesco Extra here. So the Tesco Extra's here. There is a bus bay there. And then you follow this out over to the motorway here. Hello. So I was thinking of taking this and effectively putting it here. But I'm not sure how well it would fit. Not in terms of practically, physically, whether it would fit, but in terms of whether it would fit in with the feel of this area here. So the other option is I move it up to effectively this junction. Yeah, not being flat is a big problem for the OMSI editor. But yeah, I'll work that out. I'll work that out at some point. But the first bit that I'm making is going from here, round here, to here. Which by car would be a drive of about... Let's just measure it again. Measure it again, but without the extra bit down to the supermarket over there. So by car, without stopping, that would be 16 minutes. And if we say, I don't know what speed a car would average along there, the route needs to be longer than that, basically. There needs to be more route than that, which is why I was thinking of extending this out to effectively there. Or alternatively, there. Via there. Because that then extends it out into a really nice, long-ish route. So, shall I just show... So the original route I was going to do at the very, very start was effectively there to there-ish. Like, that's not how it was going to go, but that's the sort of thing I was originally going to go for. And I would still quite like to do something like that. But I feel like it might be a better use of the resources that I've already built up to do something more like that. And then with the bit out to RAF Whiten. I don't know. Still got a bunch of planning left to do. I'll figure it out. I would like to have a route that goes along here, though. Because this is extremely characteristic of the Cambridgeshire Fens. And I wanted from the very beginning to make a route that goes along this road in particular. I don't know why, I just like this road. No, there's no point in just doing a little village route. But yeah, I want to send a bus route along here. I've wanted to do that from the start. That was always the original plan, was to send one along here. And that would be effectively coming out of... If I just drop it back in the bus station. Effectively, that would be coming out of here. So, you know, there would be space to do 3 routes. One would be... Actually, thinking about it practically. So if I... So to extend the town route, I could take that out past the depot over to the supermarket, because it seems very sensible to make a route to link on one end housing estates and on the other end a supermarket. That's very much like the 64 in Durham. That makes a lot of sense to me. Then another route I can do is park and ride to Huntingdon-ish. And then the last route I can do is town centre to Ely-ish. And that's 3 routes, and I should be able to reuse quite a lot of roads between the routes. Like, it could go out this way alternatively. Or it can go through there. Through there, round here, out there, maybe. I mean, another thing is I don't want to waste this bus lane that I've got here, so I guess I'll be using that with the town route, I guess. Yeah, I'll take the town route through there. And then I'll take the out of town route out this way and just ignore the park and ride altogether. Or I could take it over this side, but I'm not sure I want to fill up too much more detail over in this direction. But that is a more natural way for it to go, so maybe I will take it that way. Because I can pack this quite close to the edge of this tile without too much issue. Yeah, you know, that's what I'll do. Right, so those are the 3 routes I want to do. So, one that goes out here and along here and basically to here. One that goes from here to here. And one that goes from here to, like, a Peterborough-Huntingdon hybrid sat somewhere in between the two of them. Mostly on sort of this kind of road. Because I don't want to build the A1M. Like, I really, really do not want to build the A1M. OMSI's traffic would have a fit if I tried to do the A1M. And I'd have to build a whole load of unique splines for it. I'd have to build I'd have to build all sorts of junctions to fit it. It would be a nightmare. It would be impressive because nobody else would have made anything like it, but it would be a nightmare to try and do. It would add so much extra work. You can see that part of me wants to do it and I'm trying to talk myself out of it. Yeah, I know I want to, but can you imagine how much more work it would be? Basically, that route would terminate... that route would terminate here. Not there, sorry, no, that's the Waitrose car park here. No, I don't. I have too many of my own. Thank you, but I have too many of my own. Yeah. So this is where it would terminate, basically. Well, actually, no, it would be better for it to terminate here. Well, they were on their side when they took this picture. This is like most fancy OMSI bus screenshots. Yeah, I was intending to build something to represent this general area. Yeah, but I need it to feel like Cambridgeshire, so I don't want to take inspiration from other places, because then it won't feel like Cambridgeshire. Also, this road is called Longthorpe Parkway. So, you know, maybe it's necessary. Yeah, basically we'll go up here, along here, up here, and in here, and terminate there. I mean, how much A1M could you really be bothered to drive with OMSI traffic? Like, honestly. So, how many individual junctions would I actually need to build for this to work? Oh god, I'd need to build that fucker, wouldn't I? I'm evaluating the possibility. As I know that people would like it if I did do it. This is the main line, isn't it? Yep, that's the ECML. I'd also like a stretch of road parallel to the ECML so that I can run my AI trains past it. The alternative is I just build it to Huntingdon. And I just go to Huntingdon bus station, which is a reverse out bus station which won't work in OMSI. I mean, I could change the layout of Huntingdon bus station. Yeah, this is where most of the busway routes actually terminate. It's only really... Actually, I think they might have cut the services to Peterborough altogether. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a good... Oh yeah, they've destroyed this bridge now. I don't think there's a good... Okay, so there's this. And in fact, there is a busway bus. Ah, thank you. So, I mean, I could terminate them somewhere like that instead. Because that would only mean that I need to build this far. And this bit of road would already be made because I need this bit in order to... Sorry, this bit. I already need to build this road as far as here in order to make this route. So that would be reusing a lot of existing roads. This is a bus lane, I believe, going down here. I might be wrong. Yeah. So that's an interesting little bit of road there. Oh no, I'm not doing a busway in OMSI. There's no way I'm doing a busway in OMSI. It just wouldn't work. I'm not going to make a map that just doesn't work. But the route that I am intending to do is a busway link. So a route connecting the park and ride here at the end of the busway with something like the train station over here. Or the hospital here, which is another place that a lot of them terminate. I don't actually know where in here they terminate. I mean, that would be a bit of a cliche, but I have made an ambulance model. Yeah, no, not everybody gets that. And it's I find it frustrating when I see people trying to use my busway stuff to make a busway OMSI map. No, I don't. I learned it all by experimentation. So where do they terminate here? Where's the bus stop here? Don't tell me that's the route terminus. That can't be the terminus. It can't be. There it is. Okay, that's where they terminate. Okay. I mean, that would be perfectly doable. There's nothing particularly difficult about that. Also, this little underpass here is fun. Is that buses only going to the right there? Oh no, it's a large vehicle limiter lane, and that's an emergency vehicles only lane. That could be interesting. But yeah, this big old interchange here is an interesting one. Hello. Oh god, what time of night is it? I don't have the cat. I can't do cat cam without a cat. So I think what happens in real life is the buses will either terminate in here, or they will carry on along here and terminate here. I think that's what happens in real life. So basically I'd need to make this road around here with the bus station. I'd have to relay out the bus station to use individual bays. Because OMSI buses are not doing that. Well, I mean, actually, I wouldn't necessarily need to do that, because I could just do it like Cotterell does it. And just have static buses on a park list. But then, how hard would it be to just lay out a few bays here? A few drive-through bays. But I would have to lay out the area somewhat differently. Okay, so buses can actually come in through here. That's interesting. Ah, look at this. And then they have to spin around there and pull in there. I like that. Ooh, that's an interesting road layout. I like that. I mean, obviously I don't have to do anything like this at all. I could lay it out completely differently. Yeah, but see, the problem with that is I'd have to lay them out so shallowly that I'm wasting almost all of this space. But again, I could just make this a different shape. I could make it suit the space that I have, or the needs that I have. I mean, it's a long way off before I get there anyway. It would be nice to have a reverse out bus station. done in such a way that OMSI's AI can cope with it. And I'm not seeing any real showstoppers around here. I could just have 2 rows here, couldn't I? And I want to take a bit more of the so I'd like to have it like that, but I don't think that's really feasible because OMSI. Conveniently, we've got this B7 RLE sitting around here that we can use to size some stuff up. So what I could do instead is just do like a set of drive-through bays like that. Shush. Obviously, there's a lot more wasted space there. Alternatively, I could do something along the lines of that. I don't know what Barnstable bus station's like. Yeah, that's the thing, is it has to be unique. It has to be different and interesting. Yeah. Though honestly, was there anything particularly wrong with Paignton and Bus of the West Country 2.9? People seem to quite like it. I'll have a look in a moment. I mean, what I was basically thinking of was a 2-row arrangement like this. Well, yeah, but the laybys have to be on the left because that's where the doors are. There isn't really any option. So that only gives 4 bays. Or 5 if you do it like that. I'm not sure it would, because the entrance is going to be like this. See, that is that's sort of what I was thinking, was just having rows like that. It's just instead of having straight rows, you have staggered rows, because then it's easier for the buses to get into. Or alternatively, I could just build that and hang the consequences of not being able to run AI into it. But that, I'd like to be able to run AI into it. Because I want to do something similar to what the area has. So the other thing I can do is I don't have to be stuck with exactly the layout and space of the real world. I could just move that road over there a bit, for instance. Because the thing that this layout is missing is a pedestrian crossing. Because if you're going to have your bus station separated out like this, you're going to need pedestrian crossings to get people from one side of it to the other. I mean, I'm quite liking the idea of something like this. And then I can fit in one more bus bay there. And then put canopies over the top of it. Hang on, let me just grab this canopy. Expertly done. I might have a look after I've done this. I'm just kind of playing with my own ideas for the time being. Okay, that's the red layer. So this preserves the same direction of flow through the bus station. It doesn't actually provide 6 bays though, does it? Because this one is now encroaching into the pavement over here, because there's a pavement here. I don't know where the pavement there goes. Is there a pavement there? Yes, but it goes literally nowhere. Okay, so I don't worry about that. So this could still work. Okay, and then we do need to pull this tree line back a bit in order to make enough space for buses parked over here. I want to keep these 3 bus stands here because these are not exactly iconic, but definitely very characteristic of this bus station. So I want you to be able to pull out of these bus stands and go around and into your bay. Let me just add an indicator to myself of which way round flow goes. And thank you for the follow. I like that. And since it's called Prince's Street in real life, I'll probably call it Princess Street in the game. Is it Patrick Bus Station? Yeah. Partick, not Patrick. And yes, the weird thing of calling them stances. Yeah, no, that's... Oh. Okay, currently, that's way too shiny and modern and would not fit at all. Originally, that's more like what I was thinking. Like, just when you're standing here, this is kind of more like what I was thinking. When you're here, this really isn't. Yeah, but I'm not going to do it like that. It's a nice idea, but I'm not going to do it like that. So yeah, the only problem with that is the Huntingdon route may not take very long. Oh, hello. So the longest version of that route would be 21 minutes of straight driving. So I'd probably just extend this A road. Yeah. Anyway, conveniently, there isn't really a good way onto this road anymore because they demolished it. So I don't need to build this. Well, no, I could still build this road, couldn't I? So that's what they're building new. As this bridge is being torn down. I can't remember what the original looked like. But yeah, basically I'd need to make one of these junctions, which I could use in order to make a direct route down to here, so that you could use that to get back to the depot when you're at the end of the route. And I'm not taking a route through here. There are so many places I could send a bus route that I'm not going to. Even if this is a really interesting and weird little junction layout. So you had the big loop on top, and then this sharp turn off here on the other side. Even if that's a really interesting little junction layout, I'm still not going to do it. I'm doing this weird and interesting little junction layout instead. Yeah, anyway, I can't get too ambitious, and I think that this is too ambitious. I need to limit my ambitions. So I think basically doing this is reasonable, because I'm reusing a lot of road that I'm already going to have to make for this route. Then the other route will go like that. I mean, I don't want the two routes to just be a duplicate of each other, is the other thing. And last route goes that way, along lots of A roads and that bit. Let me just take some more screenshots so I remember the idea. That's representative enough. Where is it? I'm never good at recognizing stuff in Ely from above. There. I swear that there's another bit. No, that is it, isn't it? Those are the 3 routes I would like to do. Originally, what I was going to do with that route was to take it to... There's a very specific place. Somewhere down here. There it is. The original terminus for that route was going to be here. Not this length. I was going to compress this so that effectively bolted on there, about where Soham is. Because Finchingfield is an extremely weirdly picturesque little village with the cutest little bus stop on it. And I do have the reference material for most of the buildings here. I mean, look at that. It's got a cute little tiny little windmill. What more do you want? But that doesn't fit with... Well, I mean, I could do that. It would make it a lot easier than going to Ely. It would just kind of make this route make a bit less sense. But I mean, if anything would sell a British map to Germans, then this cute little tiny little chocolate box village would. With its perfectly manicured lawns and every building being a tea room. They do really good cakes. So do they. There's also a pub up there which does really good cakes. And there's another one over here which does really good cakes. But yeah, that was where I was originally going to terminate it. But I was thinking of alternatively taking Saffron Walden and which is very nearby, and basically just has a bus terminus that's kind of on the road. Like, this is it. This is the bus terminus. And also a taxi stand when the buses aren't running. I was thinking of taking this, putting this just after here, so you run through the incredibly cute village and terminate in Saffron Walden. So you start in St Ives, run. I mean, another thing is I don't just want to have cutesy little towns and sort of edges of towns and small towns with little bus stations. I wanted to have a bit more of a built-up area, which is why I wanted to terminate a route here. And make a sort of a bit of a bigger, uglier area to go in the map as well. I don't know. There are so many things I could do. Yeah, but think how long it would take to make, not to drive. Yeah, the original route that I was originally planning on doing right back when I started was here to here. Though with this bit, as I said, jammed on here. So actually the route itself would have been more like that. Was the idea. But I mean, the thing is, I was finding it kind of weird that it was sort of going from a small town in the middle of nowhere to a small village in the middle of nowhere, while skirting around the outside of some really big nearby towns, which as a bus route doesn't make sense. The thing that makes sense is going to the bigger nearby town. The other problem, though, is that I can't run through... I can't run through Finchingfield. Because Finchingfield is more of the... I mean, it's in Essex. It's a much more Essex-looking area than this, which is all very, very Cambridgeshire Fens. So I can't run through that and then into somewhere else, which is obviously Fens. I mean, I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah. What I don't want to end up with is a bunch of routes that just feel like they don't make sense. That's what I don't want to end up with. I want all the routes to feel like they make sense. And the other thing is, when you get up past Peterborough, you suddenly get into a completely different style of architecture. But I can't just make every single part of the country that I think is interesting. What do you mean? Use the same bus stop while going in two directions? Because, yes, you can just do that. Yeah. Another thing I would like is I would like to have a stretch of road that runs parallel to the ECML, kind of like this. So you can run alongside the high-speed trains. That would be really nice. Also, this area is completely full of RAF bases. A lot of them just look sort of like housing estates. And some of them are being turned into actual housing estates now. But a lot of them were built to serve the RAF bases that they're next to. Oh, the busway serves this stop. Okay. So presumably that's where it joins the A1M then. I guess it comes up out here and along here and joins the A1M over here. And then just goes up here to Peterborough. But yeah, this makes a lot more sense than this. Because in real life what you'd have is you'd have one route that goes here, and then if there's a route that goes here at all, it would start here and go there. But then you're talking about a more unreasonable number of routes. I'll work it out. There's a lot more work to be done here before I even start considering what I'm doing out here. So you know what, I'm going to stop clicking around a map. We're going to drive from the depot to the town centre. And then I'm going to go and relax. So there's a view into the inner machinations of my indecisiveness. It had better do, I spent quite a lot on the computer. Yeah, the OMSI editor's not forgiving. Let's just take a bus over to the depot. Thank you for the follow. Let's take a bus over to the depot. I do, yes. This install is only Farthington. There's nothing else except the default assets. And get us that steering wheel set up. Right. Bit more game audio. Actually, hang on. People have been asking me to use the a 9350 KF. I'm assuming that's an Intel mobile processor? I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard of that processor before. It sounds like it's probably a last gen i3 mobile processor. And yeah, I don't know. I'd need to see benchmarks. My PC specs are a Ryzen 5 3600 overclocked to 4.2 GHz with a Radeon RX 580 8GB GPU, 32 gigs of DDR4 3200, a 512 megabyte 500 megabyte per second SATA 6 primary SSD, a 7200 RPM 1 terabyte secondary hard drive, and the one that I have most of my programs installed on is a 1 terabyte PCIe Gen 4 M.2 SSD. I have no air pressure. Come on, air pressure. You can do it. Let's have a look at the benchmarks. I mean, if it's overclockable, that's probably going to be great. Oh yeah, that'll be fantastic. That'll be great. You will do no wrong with that. Keep in mind, as we drive around, very, 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 very not final. Also, I hope you like the dirty bits of ground on the depot. That feels like an eye shift, alright. Thing is, you can't just look at clock speed to compare processors together. Hello again. You also have to look at their generation and architecture. Custom, yes. Or a mixture of custom and the default OMSI ones, but with my own verge texture to blend it into the grass around it. Oh yeah, this one's got the 45-mile-an-hour speed limiter on it. It's unlikely that you'll find them. I mean, maybe somebody's made one. Honestly, everything that I learnt through trial and error. And talking to other developers. You know what would go great here? An Eclipse 2 B8RLE. Or, even better, an Eclipse 2 B7RLE. Without a 40-mile-an-hour speed limiter. So this junction's all made out of an object as well. Or made into an object even. I mean, the 3600X is a great processor. What was the other one you've got? The 6400. See... I mean, it will be amazingly better in most things. In OMSI, it will probably only be slightly better. So I probably wouldn't buy it just for the small increase in OMSI. As OMSI is incredibly single-thread performance bound. And while the single-thread performance is better, it's still not amazingly better. I need to pay more attention to the bus station. It's starting to look, the park and ride, it's starting to look dated. Basically it just needs castle curbs. And yes, those road markings are floating. Well look, bus activated traffic lights. I mean, the other question is, what drive are you running OMSI off? Because if it's a mechanical hard drive, then that's going to be an enormous bottleneck. Oh, I'll just make my own. It won't take long. 10-15 minutes maybe. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it depends on how much you want to upgrade. Because I upgraded from an i7 4790 to a 3600. And, like, it's a good upgrade, but even in the best case scenario, it's not more than, like, I mean, probably in the best case scenario, it's probably 50%. And most of the time, it's hardly noticeable. Ooh, I messed that up. I'm very happy with how these... Yeah, I went from Intel to AMD, yes. The main reason I did it, honestly, was because I fancied getting a PCIe Gen 4 SSD. Which you can only do with AMD. It is, yes. I mean, you've been complaining at me to use it for days now. Yeah, I want this map to feel special. Because it's the map that I started. It's kind of the first big thing I did with OMSI. And it's also kind of going to be the last big thing I do with OMSI, I think. Because I'm going to be moving on to my own sim. Which I'm making. Have I mentioned that? I'm making my own. But yeah, as kind of the first and last thing that I'm doing with OMSI, I want it to be special. And also I'm a competitive bugger, so I want to prove that I can make a better thing than all the other buggers. So there. Tell you more, what about my brand new bus simulator I am developing? Well, let me tell you about how it is driven by community content. Voltage? There's nothing to do with voltage. All power supplies output 12 volts, 5 volts, and 3.3 volts. Because it's not the game engine that matters, it's what you do with it. The big problem with all the other simulators currently being made is all of them are doing it the cheap and dirty way, effectively. Which is they're making the entire simulator inside the game engine, and any maps that they make, any content that they make, needs to be made in... I'm not adding always online DRM. No, not happening. I'm just morally against it. But yeah, what was I saying? I was saying a thing. Come on, brain. You can do the thing. You can say the words. Yes, the problem is that they all do everything in the engine. So in order to make new content for their simulators, you have to make it through Unreal Engine or Unity Engine or whatever engine they use. That is the easy way to do it, because then all you need to do is you need to build a map, and you need to build a vehicle, and you need to set up the physics and everything. So it's not a small task, but it's all relatively simple stuff. The difficult bit, because the game engine handles how the level is stored and saved, how the maps are stored and saved, and all the other internal content, how it's streamed from the disk, etc., etc. The problem is that then in order to make any content for this simulator, you have to do it through that game engine. That means that your users end up having to make content through an extremely overcomplicated for what they actually need piece of software, instead of something designed for the job. So the difference between those simulators and my one is that my one is being built first and foremost around making stuff in the game. So think crossover of Cities Skylines without the plumbing and OMSI, if that makes sense. So the map editor will be a core piece of the game. In fact, arguably it's going to be more important than the driving physics or the ticket selling mechanics or yada yada yada. So the first thing I'm focusing on before anything else is the map editor. And this is it so far. I've tweaked the lighting a bit. I've made it look nice. There's still a long way to go, but basically it looks reasonably nice. It has shadows, everything's built in and works nicely. These are the same buildings from Farthington, you probably recognise them. I've just been importing a few of them as I've gone to see how they look in this. The road texture's hideous because that's just from textures.com. Please ignore that, it's horrible. Yeah. So I've made my own UI from scratch. Tile system, except that this one's 1 by 1 kilometre tiles instead of 300 by 300 metres. Terrain with a preview brush, because it's really annoying not being able to see what's about to happen with the terrain brush in OMSI. And the thing that and you can add objects. Except that currently crashes the game because I removed the objects from the list. And the thing that I made most recently, you can open the thing I made most recently counter, is the ability to have multiple terrain textures, and instead of just overwriting one with the other and only having one, you can actually do a soft blend between them and blend the two together. Which should be really nice for doing things like fields and the like. And then you can grab objects and rotate them and move them and all the good stuff. So the thing that I'm working on at the moment is the runtime asset importing and loading, which is what's going on over here. So this object is an original object, which I placed in Unity and imported through the standard Unity method. That's the way that you have to do it in order to make content for the other simulators which are being made at the moment. And this one is broken. But the important thing is that I saved this at runtime to a file and then reloaded it back into the game again at runtime. The thing that is wrong here is I got the wrong texture format. It's a reasonably simple error. I can fix that very quickly. Also, the lighting is way too harsh right now, so I'm just going to turn that down. Hang on, it's actually the sun settings that I want to change, isn't it? Not anything else. Let me just change the sun brightness to 1. There we go. HDR, yes, I can add HDR. The other thing that it's going to have is a screenshot mode, where you'll be able to add a bunch of filters and things to your scene, like depth of field and vignette and all that good stuff. In fact, let me just show you the kind of thing you can do. So if you want, you can have stupidly intense vignette, if that's the kind of thing that you like. You can have depth of field, which is now Gaussian depth of field. So, like, I have no idea. Okay, start and end. Yeah. You can do stuff. All of this I will be putting into my own menu system, so it'll be all accessible. It'll all be accessible at runtime. You'll be able to add film grain and that sort of thing if you really want, or motion blur if you really want that. Let's add stupid motion blur intensity. There we go. There we go. This is the Unreal Simulator simulation. We are Unreal Engine now. We have motion blur. Hang on, I need more vignette. More vignette. There we go. Okay, now we're Unreal Engine. This is Unreal Engine now. Oh no, there's one more thing I forgot. It's very important. We need chromatic aberration. Chromatic aberration time. Oh, look at these intense graphics. Look at these intense graphics. Wow. God, graphics. I think that's one thing we're missing at the moment in the universal render pipeline, is I think we're actually missing bloom. But what we can do is we can make it warm. And we can tint it. There we go. There we go. Yes. There we go. How about that? And we're still doing 270 FPS. Anyway, yeah. That's the simulator I've been developing. It's a long way from done. It's going to be a year, like a year at least, before I get a proper functional prototype out. That's why I'm working on Farthington at the moment. Because before I do that, I need to work on an income. But yeah. Anyway, if you want to see the progress of that, I'm posting updates on my Discord, not this Discord, this Discord. And look, somebody's just joined. Hello, Stony Jack. The link for this is below the stream. And I post stuff about the simulator that I'm making every now and then, if you fancy seeing it. Oh yeah. Anyway, that is more than enough for me. I've kept saying that I'm going to stop. So this time I'm actually going to stop. And I've actually done all these things on this sticky note I made. So yeah. Anyway, thank you all of you for coming along. It's been fun again. I will at some point work out what routes I want to finish off and where I'm going to make them end up. Yeah. I'll see you all around. Yep, you missed it. It's too late now. I've said I'm going several times. It's time to go. See you later.